Hello and welcome to this live interaction with me, Ashish Parekh. Over the years, the Indian Space Research Organization, better known as ISRO, has achieved many milestones. Started in 1969, the Space Agency of the Government of India has put the country in the elite list of top space agencies despite a fraction of their budget and resources. And after successful missions such as Mars Orbiter mission, the Chandrayaan-1 and the Chandrayaan-2, among many others, ISRO is now pushing the boundaries in space science with every single mission that it undertakes. Now, with an aim to make India reach new heights in the global space economy, ISRO is now gearing up for the launch of India's maiden human space flight, Gaganyaan. Now, India's human space flight mission Gaganyaan will be slightly delayed, however, owing to the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, even as ISRO resumes rocket launch activities from the first week of November. India's first human space flight was targeted in August 22, but owing to the pandemic that has affected several various sectors as well, this has also impacted the operations at ISRO, and there will be a slight slip in meeting the mission's target date. In fact, ISRO chief K. Sivan came out and said that Gaganyaan mission has advanced well and the country is taking the help of other spacefaring nations like Russia for training the astronauts and also some very other critical aspects. France also is helping India in the space medical area, and is also the space agency is also approaching US space agency NASA as well. Now ISRO, as per latest reports, is in talks with NASA and is also examining if it can gain access to some critical technologies relating to astronaut safety. And if talks turn into partnership, then the United States, which has been keen on partnering on Gaganyaan, would become the third country to be helping ISRO launch India's first astronauts from Indian soil. Now, as on date, 4 Indian astronaut elects are training in Russia as part of an ISRO agreement with the Russian Space Agency, and Russia has also started production of customized space suits for Indian astronauts. Well, even the Australian Space Agency recently just came out and said that it is looking forward to partnering with India on its first space mission involving human astronauts as well. To speak to us more about this, we've got with us our expert for the day, Senior Professor Jayant Murthy. First of all, thanks a lot, Professor Murthy, for joining us live. My first question to you, of course, is there was a lot of buzz about Gaganyaan mission, but it just seems to be lost amid the pandemic. A lot of people were concerned about what the developments were, how the operations are happening. Now, how much of the mission was affected due to the pandemic, and how much of it will impact the end product?
Well, as you know, the pandemic has affected all of us, including ISRO.
Exactly.
And we must expect all these missions to be delayed. Especially considering the budgetary pressures on the government now. Exactly. I think under the circumstances, no one will be surprised if it's delayed by a year or two or more.
Yeah. Also, Professor, now what are these crucial technologies that ISRO is talking about? What are the technologies that we can gain from NASA? And of course, we know NASA, being a space agency that has undertaken much more complex missions, what are the sort of critical technologies that NASA can possibly help India with, given at this point in time?
Well, so far there have been 3 countries that have actively sent astronauts into space, the US, Russia, and China. Others have had astronauts, but on other missions.
Exactly.
And so when you want to learn something about space, especially when it's something as critical as human spaceflight, you really do want to learn from the experts. I'm sure that there's many aspects of design, spacecraft design, and even just the way people go to space that ISRO can learn.
Yeah. Now, also, Professor, the other thing that a lot of people are concerned about is how much of this will offset the mission, because this is something space missions, like you have been explaining in our previous interactions as well. Space missions are very time bound. There is a specific time that is selected based on several factors that are factored in and also taken into account. So, any sort of a delay, how many other factors would be affected, and how much of a complicated will this entire rescheduling process will be?
For human spaceflight, this is something that isn't really dependent on external factors. You don't want to take any chances when you're sending people up. And it's not like Mars where you have to launch on this date, because Mars, if you don't launch now, Mars will be further away, or Venus, or any other planet. This is just taking people up into low Earth orbit.
Okay.
Nothing really changes. And so I would rather that they take their time, make sure that everything works well, and not worry about time pressures.
Absolutely. And also to all our viewers who are wondering what exactly is this mission all about. Yes, of course, a lot of people, space enthusiasts, have been tracking this from across the world. But a lot of people now are hearing about this Gaganyaan mission of India and, are very enthusiastic about that. So what exactly is India planning to do? Yes, people have been sent on moon already into low Earth orbit as well. So what exactly is India trying to do different compared to what other countries have already done?
You're asking the wrong person that. I've often felt this about our space missions. We should have a 20-year or a 50-year vision of where we are going to go. And to me, it seems more like every single one of our missions is a standalone mission. We have Chandrayaan, we have Mangalyaan, we have the Venus mission, we have Gaganyaan, but there's no unity to all of this. And I do think that we really do need that. We need to say that today we are here. In 20 years, we'll be on the moon. And this is what China has done. 20 years ago, we were so far ahead of China. Now, the Chinese every day, their lunar rover has completed 23 lunar days on the moon.
Yeah.
So I think we need to really have a sense of purpose and direction.
Absolutely.
Also,
we could possibly take a cue from NASA as well, because every single mission that you look back on, initially when all of those were planned, of course, there were a section of, section across the world that were, ridiculing it. They were just wondering why exactly are we sending a probe to Mars? What exactly could be the thing? But with every single mission, the mission that was undertaken 20, 30 years back, begins to make sense. All of these studies start to make sense. So it is very important to have a unison of all of these missions, and there needs to be a particular trajectory that we are heading towards. So that's very important for any space mission. So, like you rightly mentioned, most of our missions are standalone missions. But at the end of the day, how much of our missions could actually, contribute to global space agencies or global space missions as well, given the fact that we are again getting a lot of data, like we got interesting data from Chandrayaan-1 as well. So, how much of it is contributing to global space science?
Right now, we're a small player. And, we are one of the few spacefaring nations, so that's something to be quite proud of. But on the scale, we're nowhere near the U.S. or Russia or China or ESA. And so we certainly have people who are as qualified as any in the world. But we do need to build a scale. And that's a long process. You need to build up academic infrastructure, the technical infrastructure, and for a relatively small amount of money. When you compare it to the overall GDP,
exactly,
we really could become a big player. We have the techniques, we have the knowledge, we have the skill, but we don't really have the resources.
Exactly.
The financial resources.
Absolutely. Hoping that, all works well for India, and also, there is some sort of a trajectory that we've still not figured out from ISRO that is actually taking place, and all of these missions are heading towards that. One only hopes that the missions that ISRO is undertaking are successful. Thanks a lot, Professor Moti, for joining us on this live interaction. That was our expert for the day, Senior Professor Jayant Moti from Indian Institute of Astrophysics, clearly coming out and saying that, this is one of the missions that we need to look forward to, but at the same time, we also need to make sure that the space agency focuses on missions that are, leading up to something else, something instead of just being standalone missions that are contributing to basically nothing, just instead of just bringing out some or the other sort of information. So very interesting point that Professor Moti raised there. Do let us know what you guys think in the comment section below, and also do not forget to like, share and subscribe to News9 Digital. Thanks a lot for watching.